All right, let's go through pages 22 and 23. 22 to 23. Again, I forgot to put the page number up there. And you know what? I just discovered that the last video that I made, I forgot to have the microphone that I'm wearing plugged into the camera. So I don't know if it made a difference or not, if it seemed like a little lower or different voice quality. That's why the mic wasn't connected. Anyways, I'm connected now. Let's try to walk our way through page 22. And the first thing we need to do in order to follow the steps that are shown here is we're going to have to click on Zoom and then number 7. That's says Z-trig. Okay? And that will give us the function, although it might look like the sine function because I didn't tell you yet. We want to click Y1, and in the first function, do cosine of x, okay? So I have cosine x, and everything else is gone. All right, so then if we graph that, you should have a screen that looks like that, okay? Now we're going to find out about a new button on here called Trace, which is kind of fun. When you hit Trace, up here in the upper left-hand corner, it'll tell you the function that in this case should say cosine of x, and then down here it says x equals 0, y equals 1, and it looks like a little cursor right about here is where it starts, okay? But what I want you to do is use your number pad here, your arrow pad, and go to the left. And if you just keep hitting left, 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 it just keeps moving the cursor along until we let's try to get over real close to where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, so it kind of looks like that. And if you look at the bottom, it gives you some numbers, roughly x equals negative 4.5 to 4.7, something like that. And then it gives you a y value. All right. So that's how the trace works, is you can just trace by moving the cursor along the path, and then down below it'll tell you the corresponding x and y values at that particular point. Now, we'd use the trace key right here. Now I want you to do second function trace, which is called calc. And you should see a screen that says calculate. And then we're going to be especially interested in number 2, which says 0, 3, which says minimum, 4 is maximum, okay? And so we see that on the bottom of page 22. And it says to find the x-intercept where the graph crosses the x-axis, choose 2. Okay, so I'm going to do that, hit 2. And then it asks the question, it takes us right back to this screen, and it asks a question down here in the lower left-hand corner. It says left bound, and then we're going to put in a number, and then it'll say right bound. Okay? Now, I don't want to do the same point that they just did here on page 23. So I'm going to go back to trace, and I want to go to this point right here where it crosses here and try to figure out what the number is right there. So I'm tracing backwards till I get to right about there. Okay, so you see I've circled that point here on the whiteboard. You can kind of see that point up on here. Now, the x and the y values show where the cursor is. That doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly the value where it crosses the axis. So we're going to have to try to figure out, well, what would that value be? All right, so again, now that we've gotten to that point, remember the step is we did second function trace, which is actually calc, and then hit number 2, which is to find the 0 values. And now it's asking the left value right here. So we want to find the point between here and here. So we just kind of want to estimate. I mean, we could even say 0 back here, or 1. This is saying that this is at approximately 1.5. That's what it's guessing. So I'm going to guess this is 1. I'm just going to put in 1. And then I'm going to guess that this is 2. It's not exact, but so for left bound, I'm going to put in 1. And then when I hit enter for X, then it says, now what is the right bound? In other words, what's the boundary? Bound means boundary. So the left boundary is 1. The right boundary now I'm going to put in 2. And then it plays a game with us. It says, what do you think it is? And so I'm going to guess 1.5. Okay. And hit enter. And then it tells us the actual value. So after we guess it, now we can see that the actual X value is 1.5707963, but the key is that the Y value right there is 0. That's what we were looking for. Where does it cross where does the Y value become 0? Right here where it crosses the X-axis. And that technically is it's between 1 and 2. It's 1.57 blah, blah, blah. All right. So we kind of did there on page 23, number 1, it says find the other 3 x-intercepts. So we just found one of them. Okay. So now I want you to try to find this one. So use your trace, take your cursor over here, and then try to figure out 2 numbers, one on either side. Use the second calc function. Plug in the left boundary, the right boundary, guess at what you think the middle one is, and then it will tell you the exact value. All right. I hope that will help you figure out the rest of page 23.